Trauma explains behavior. It does not excuse abuse. Let's talk about pain, or separating pain from permission. This conversation is going to be dedicated to military personnel who may be going through some traumatic experiences because of their military experience, but more specifically, combat experience. But this conversation is for anybody who has gone through any level of abuse and who may be dealing with some things because of that abuse. Now, this conversation is not to demonize anyone who have gone through any level of traumatic experiences that have left them with some bruises, but it is to show the accountability that we do have despite our traumatic experiences. Now, what does it mean to separate pain from permission? Just because you're hurting doesn't give you permission to hurt others. You might have PTSD. You might have some type of combat trauma. You might have some type of anxiety, anger, emotional numbness, hypervigilance, and many of us have survivor's guilt. Those things are real, and those things do deserve compassion and empathy. All of that. It's pain, but the permission part is when we start using that to justify yelling at family constantly, emotional intimidation, controlling behavior, verbal abuse, explosive anger, manipulating people with guilt, refusing accountability, and making loved ones walk on eggshells. So once again, trauma can explain behavior, but it's not a permission for abuse. Here it is much simpler. I understand that your hurting is not the same as you're allowed to hurt me because you're hurting. To my military brothers and sisters, your combat experience may explain why you struggle with emotional regulation, but it cannot, and it does not give you the permission to emotionally terrorize your family. It just can't. We got to get help. Many of your family members feel trapped, and they feel stuck between having compassion because of what you've gone through and protecting themselves emotionally. Many family members feel guilty holding military veterans accountable because they know that they've suffered. They know that they've gone through. And that's just no way to live. Accountability and compassion can exist together. It's okay to acknowledge someone's trauma without having to surrender to your own emotional safety. Now, before I lose my veterans, listen, I am not anti-veteran. I can't be. I'm a veteran myself. But the point that I'm trying to make is many of us have survived war, but we never stop fighting the people that we love. We never stop fighting the people around us, most of which is our family. Here's a bigger point. Though many of us have gone through traumatic experiences that have given us lasting effects, you don't have to be both the victim and the source of pain simultaneously. And I get it. PTSD can make you have different feelings of anger. PTSD makes you feel emotionally detached. And sometimes you can come off controlling and just numb. But our loved ones and family members are not emotional punching bags. Once again, I understand more than you know, but we can't use our service records to shield us from accountability. We just can't. We have a responsibility to seek the help. I know that it's easier said than done, but we still have a responsibility to seek help and just do better internally. Because if not, your trauma becomes your identity. And for many of you, it already has. People know you based on your trauma. Many of you that seem hardcore and just stoic, you're just using your pain for your power. You're scared. And better yet, your own fear is your source for intimidation. There is definitely a difference between struggling with trauma and making your trauma everybody else's prison as well. In case you don't know, for the ones of us who are dealing with trauma, you've created homes where your family have to walk on eggshells. They have to monitor their tone. They have to monitor facial expressions. They have to monitor footsteps. You've created a space where they can't even be human. They have to monitor their moods, and it's so unfair to them. Yes. Are you going through your traumatic experiences? I get it, and I have to continue to say that because I don't want this to come off as if I'm dismissing trauma. However, there is accountability and responsibility in that. Now, let's talk about emotional manipulation from people who have gone through traumatic experiences, right? And once again, this is for the people who misuse their traumatic experiences or the effects of their trauma. Let's talk about the language that's usually given to family members and loved ones that makes it feel more like a prison. Now, here is the language of emotional manipulation when it comes from military personnel. Once again, this conversation is for everyone, but because I am a veteran and I understand and I speak to a lot of family members of veterans, and so a lot of this comes from them as well. Here is the language of manipulation. You don't understand what I've seen. Or maybe this language of manipulation. After everything that I've gone through, here's another one a lot of you like to use, right? I sacrificed for this country. I don't think that we should make our family members be responsible for a decision that we've made. It is horrible to use your combat experience or your military experiences to silence criticism. It is horrible to make your family members feel guilty for speaking up. Once again, and I have to keep saying this is not to demonize military personnel or veterans. I am not anti-veteran. I can't be. I'm a veteran myself. But this is more so to expose what happens when trauma goes untreated and unchecked, which is our responsibility. When your trauma becomes unattended, it can become authority. And most of us will remain unhealed because everyone around us decided to stop challenging us. And that's dangerous. Now, this conversation was basically to bring out what's typically unsaid and to say it in hopes that maybe if you hear it, you'll pay more attention to the way that you're moving around your loved ones, your family, and other people in your life. Listen, your suffering deserves empathy. Your suffering deserves compassion. But the people who love you also deserve safety. And I get it. Trauma is not your fault. Healing is definitely your responsibility.